Welcome back to Don't Wake Out with Amy and Georgia. And tonight's very special guest is cyber expert Haley Kaplan. And you know, Haley, as I was saying, has an extraordinary vision, but very few people would ever take on the task, nevertheless know where to begin or what it takes to successfully attain or even the depths of what you have to go through to get your stuff off the internet and to really, even to get your stuff off, even to find out what's out there about you. And is there something really wrong with that? And we're really
I
going to
think
look
that's
into
the
that.
thing that's so interesting is the consequences and understanding what those ramifications can be.
Which are
'Cause
huge.
There's so much information out there. It's almost impossible to, completely remove it. But what are the things you need to remove?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's what I found so
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. Welcome, Haley. Thank you so
Hello.
much for coming down to our studio.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Our studio audience likes you a lot.
What an audience.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me here,
Oh,
ladies.
I love it. And we're doing part 2. We have the first part and the second part is next week. And at the end of the show, I'm going to let you know the areas that we're going to, which includes cyberbullying and a lot of things that you really should be aware of, especially for those of you who have kids. And I certainly have a 19-year-old stepdaughter and who lives on the internet. And I am so curious to see what Haley has to say about this. So now you write and you lecture about social media. You lecture about cyber protection. Tell me how you started this.
Well, I actually got started from making a lot of cyber mistakes myself. In fact, the first one that got me started with the blog was posting a picture of my 6-month-old nephew lying on his stomach with his beautiful little tushy showing.
So,
And I thought that was great.
how cute is that?
Posted it about 2-3 in the morning.
On your blog, but not on Facebook.
No, I
just
actually happened to do that on Facebook. This was before I had my blog. This is several years ago.
Oh, okay.
And the phone rang. I was getting texts. I was getting emails from my brother. Get my son off the internet immediately. I do not want pedophiles peering at his butt. If I'd wanted that post, I would have done it myself. And I was stunned. I was lucky that I was able to take it off right away because I'd posted it 2 or 3 in the morning, so no one had commented yet, so no one had seen it.
Got it.
So I deleted it.
But he
and
saw it.
he saw it, and he was really unhappy. And so I was a little bit sulky. My brother doesn't usually talk to me this way. And I started to think about a lot of other things that I'd done wrong or that other people had done wrong as well. And at that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to create a blog about. And a lot of the first few articles that I wrote were about cyber mistakes pertaining directly to me.
Oh, wow. Now, did you find at that time, because I think this has become, especially with cyberbullying, I think this has become a more active subject matter right now. But I don't think 5 years ago it was. I mean, I think 5 years ago, Facebook was just starting to blow up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think that now, especially with the kids that are unfortunately committing suicide and the cyberbullying and all the stuff that's going on, it's really come to the forefront, right? So you saw these mistakes, but I mean, you've turned it into this incredible business. I just love when women do that because we're all doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I always think that the best businesses come from our own challenges on our own journey that we have to go through and make it work, and then we can show others. So what's the one thing that you think was the most difficult to face when you had to look at your information?
I just didn't like a lot of what was out there. And I think that maybe if you spoke to my husband, you'd get a little bit more of an enlightening answer. And let me explain that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I write these articles on how to get information off the internet.
Okay.
And I use myself as an example from specific people directory sites. And I put step-by-step instructions that include screenshots. So I had removed myself from a lot of sites, and I turned to my husband. I said, would you mind if I used you as an example on my next article, because I'm already out?
Okay.
So I'm writing my article, and I start to look up his information, and something catches my attention. I'm going, honey, we've been married for going on 27 years.
Amazing.
And I see his name attached to a piece of property without my name on that same piece of property. I'm thinking, well, when did he become the owner of that piece of property? And I look at him, a little bit of an awkward moment between us. And he said, well, honey, I told you. You know I told you that. What had happened is his father had passed away. His mom had given him part of a piece of property, and he says he told me, and maybe he did tell me and I just forgot. But tell me something. Isn't there something wrong with finding this out on the internet? So it's bad enough that the wife found out, but is this everybody else's business too?
Yeah, totally.
So, and
Wait. Who do you think is looking or interested? Who's interested, really?
who's interested? Okay, there's a lot of different people interested for a lot of different reasons.
Well, who'd be interested in that information? Banks? I mean, who'd be information? Who'd be interested in that?
In property?
Yeah.
Well, curious people that maybe, I suppose, somebody that wanted to rob you might want to know what your assets are. Somebody that
Got it.
just a curious person whose business it is not. Maybe somebody that wants to approach you for money,
Right.
maybe to invest, and they want to see how much money you have. It's just all out there.
You know,
Yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny because I've never seen this as a negative. I have to say, and look, I'm just putting this forward as something we can discuss or not and just go like, well, you're silly, Georgia. That's just the way you think.
Right.
But for me, being a young woman in Hollywood, meeting many, particularly men, obviously, that
Sure.
want to profess to have so much and offer, they're like, I'll do this for you. The internet has saved me so many times because of the amount of information I can find out. I can just go on Zillow and be like, really? You own that house and it's worth
Okay,
what?
excuse me. What is Zillow?
Zillow's a real estate site that lists the property value of houses and the owners.
Get
So
out of
a guy
town.
can
Do
tell
you have
you
to pay to be a member?
No.
It's all free.
It's all free. So in the past, over years, men would be like, I own a big house. And then I'd type them in and I'd be like, nope, no, you don't, because there's nothing there.
Love it.
And it was
I
a good
agree
way
with
for
you.
me
I
to
agree with
keep
you in that
myself
case.
safe
Yes.
from people that were wanting to lure me in with false pretenses or whatever. And it's also very good when you're talking as a producer. You know, when I was doing my film and I'm looking for investors, nonprofits, men that profess to want to take you to
Right.
dinner because they want to invest.
Right.
I could very quickly find out if they were full of
Right.
yes.
In that case,
And then
I
not
agree
go to
with you.
dinner. So
sure.
for me, it's very funny to come to this discussion going, oh no, don't take too much off the internet. I need that stuff to know to keep myself safe, ironically.
And actually, when we get to talking about cyber dating, about online dating, that is one of the things that I recommend highly is do the background checks.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I say these days, thank goodness my kids are grown up and older, because if I had a little girl that was maybe 19,
You have no idea.
13,
I'm always nervous about it.
you don't want
It's very
everything
difficult.
to lead back to them. You don't want people to stalk them. There's
Right.
a lot of predators out
But
there.
we're going to talk about that in show 2. I kind of want to stick to
Okay,
a
so
couple of
let's-
things
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So my first question was, so what's wrong with your information being out there? We answered that, okay?
There's more. We didn't
Yeah.
answer it completely
Right,
because
and I want to go into that. So
okay.
So our information is out there. I want to just give a kind of a visual for those of you, because I gave my information to Haley, and I had serious identity theft, and it didn't come up on our stuff, so I'm going to talk to you about that in a little while. But so you go and let's give us some examples of how our information gets on there.
Okay, information gets on in multiple different ways.
Okay.
There's information that comes in from the stuff we do, social media. That's not the kind of information that I work with removing, by the way. I could work with that. But so we're in control because we're revealing too much. And this is really important with kids, because if they're on social media and they're identifying their school and they're identifying what they're doing and they're
Oh, wow.
geolocate, so somebody can really track them down if they need to.
Right.
That's
So-
something that's always troubled me. Is kids on Facebook are always posting pictures of their school. It'd be so easy for someone, even if they don't have the address, it's almost easy to find the kids at school because
And
they're
their
totally
behavior.
easy to just,
Right.
whereas at home, it's a little harder.
But
Absolutely.
So besides that factor, what else is wrong with us putting some stuff on there? I mean,
Well, let me go back to the
Yeah.
way information comes up, because
yeah.
that's just one of the ways.
okay.
So way number one is what we put out there by ourselves. That
Okay.
we are in control of that, right?
Right.
The second kind of information that comes up is information that is part of public records. So I think the older we get, the more information that's out there. It could be properties you purchase when you get a utility bill and you put your home address down there for utilities.
Are
and
judgments, evictions and stuff included
all that
there?
stuff can be located.
Okay, so they
Anything-
must be having a ball with me from when I was younger. I was really irresponsible when I was younger. I was like, go on.
get evicted.
Right. Criminal history is part of public record. Let's see. Addresses, assets, business affiliations, doing
Okay.
business as fictitious business names. So that used to be really hard to find. And it was always public, but who's going to run down to county recorder and go to the effort of getting it? Now you just click a few buttons, type a few keystrokes, and it's right there. So it's making it accessible so that it can be used and abused.
Okay.
And so that information, we can't get it off the original source. But what's happening is data has become incredibly big business. Let me go to one other type of information that comes out there,
Okay.
and then we can discuss all of them as you wish.
Okay.
We're being tracked for marketing purposes. And so this is
Yes.
different than our personal information or our assets. They're trying to figure out what our spending habits are, what our
Right.
behaviors are, so
Right.
they can figure out how to sell to us.
Right.
And
So annoying.
it's so annoying. But
I
in-
hate that I went to go buy some stuff in July, okay? And I'm like, all the stuff that I was looking at way back there just pops up on my computer all the time. Like, how do they track me like this?
Cookies.
you're talking about the
I
advertising.
cleared
that
my
comes up.
cookies. I cleared my
Yeah.
cookies.
I'm getting phone calls. Since about the same time, I went online to find out I was logging in all the online study I've been doing.
Right?
I was registering for a course at Harvard, and you had to put your number in. And someone got onto that number, and I got calls from schools about getting financial aid, about different, options for
Yeah.
college. I still get them. I have like 10 blocked call numbers now that I just block when I see them because I know
Right.
that they're somebody trying to sell me financial aid for college.
Well, let's talk about some of the other institutions that
Yes.
are gathering your information that maybe you don't realize.
Okay.
Credit cards. You know that little privacy policy that comes in the mail every time if you get a new Bloomingdale's card, if you
Right.
they're selling your information and you're giving them permission to unless you opt out. What about when you go to the supermarket and you use a Value Plus card?
Right.
Same thing. Yours
Really?
do either of you have any of you have a Value Plus
Yeah.
card?
Yeah, I used
Do
it
you-
today.
Do you notice what coupons come your way? Is it coupons that pertaining to the spending you're already doing? They're not random coupons, right? They're sending you things to try to encourage what you're going to spend on the next time you're in the market. And it doesn't just stay with that particular chain. They have the permission to resell it to other people. How about if you go and open up a bank account? Wouldn't you like to think that if you opened up a bank account, that would be all private information?
It isn't?
No. You can opt out of privacy part. There is some information that is private, but there's other information that they're passing on to affiliates. How else
But
would
there's
you get all
nothing
those?
on the wait. There's nothing on something that I recently signed that said opt out if you don't want your information. There was nothing on that asked me about that. So I mean, it's just automatic that your stuff is out there unless you say, "Excuse me, but
Yes.
can I have like an addendum to this and and give me something that's going to say you're going to protect my privacy?"
It's the
Yeah.
fine print.
It's the fine print, and also now we have to become more proactive about fighting for our privacy. So, for example, I went to the bank recently with my father. He added me onto his account. And the first thing I said sitting in front of the teller was, I'm just here as an extra set of eyes. I don't want to be marketed. I don't want to get telemarketing calls. I don't want to be solicited. I want to opt out right away. And she looked at me and she said, you're the first person that's ever done that. And all she had to do was check a box. And that was it.
Well, now I'm going back to my bank. Can I go
Wow.
back after
Yes.
I've signed up? Now
Yes.
I'm going back.
Yes, you can and you should.
Yeah.
Actually, for everything. I'll throw out a few more examples. You lease a car. You will automatically be opted in for your information being resold unless you opt out. So when I registered for a lease online, the first thing I did was I went into the search bar, privacy policy, and it is so easy to opt out.
You know, it's interesting. I bought my daughter a car today, and it was done over the phone. Don't ask me. I just don't, Georgia.
You're
don't.
efficient. Okay,
Yeah.
I like
Okay.
that.
I had no
That's
time, and
good.
I just
That's
bought her over
good.
the
Like, just
Anyway.
describe it to me.
It's a Jetta. It's a Jetta. It's a nothing. Okay, it's a sweet little car. It's a sweet little car.
Does
Anyway,
it have wheels?
it has wheels. But now I'm remembering when they read the thing to me, the disclosure. It did, and I said, "Well, you're not going to sell. I'm not going to have other people calling me, am I?" No. Well, now the guy has to call me back tomorrow about something on it, and now I'm going to say to him, "Opt out." And Ben, if you're watching this, you know I'm on to you now, so you're going to
Right,
opt
there you
out.
go. It's-
Okay, so talk to me about internet, the internet cookie thing. I mean, I clear my cookies. People clear their cookies on the internet on their computer. So how does that still? This fly is going to drive me crazy. How does that still get on there if you, pardon me, clear your cookies?
They're very smart at Google. They're incredibly smart. They have ways. Now, there's something that I've learned to do if I don't want to be tracked.
Okay.
And I have an article on it that you can look it up. It's called Surfing Incognito.
Okay.
So when I'm on Chrome is what I use, actually, Google Chrome, and I don't want anyone else to know where I've been or where I'm going or what I've done, then I open up an incognito window, which is really easy to do. And
How do you do that?
it's as simple. On Chrome there's 3 little lines, and you click on that on those lines, and a window will open up, and it will give you choices, a drop-down menu, and you'll click on Surf Incognito.
Have you ever used
Browse
that?
Incognito.
No.
I don't even know it exists.
So if you go to my blog, to my
Right.
website, and type,
You can also press Control-Shift-In, and that will open up one for you as well.
we got a little techie here.
Yeah.
So
Look
he's
at
gonna,
you.
he's gonna
Why am
help.
I not
There
surprised
we
that
go.
John knows
I'm like
all
looking
this?
at it
love
right
it.
now. I'm like, Are
Okay.
you?
I'll add something else after you're done with that.
Right.
But go ahead.
We're going to address some of the questions to John too. He might be at a higher level than me.
No.
here. But anyway, so that's one way of doing it. But it's interesting because a couple of days ago I read an article about something called super cookies. And this was pertaining specifically
Triple
to,
chocolate chip cookies.
wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
Do you
Things
know
just
about
don't
this? Do you know about this?
Yeah. They hide in your registry and so forth, so it's kind of hard to clear them out with just any typical clear.
I can't deal.
Yes,
Honestly.
it's very in particular, what this article was about was Verizon and AT&T and super cookies on your smartphones. Everybody uses smartphones. They are tracking the heck out of
Yeah.
us everywhere, everything we do, everywhere we
So
go.
how do we stop that? I mean, if they have the phone thing.
Super cookies. No.
Well, I felt like I was lucky, and maybe I'm being a little optimistic because they didn't mention T-Mobile, and I'm on T-Mobile.
Me
Plug for
too.
T-Mobile, but so they specifically in this article mentioned Verizon and AT&T.
Interesting, because
Smart TVs as well.
Really?
Yes, they're all anything that's connected
I've
to the
always
internet.
wondered about the smart TV. Dig this.
Yeah.
You know the new one that came out? I've always wondered, are they looking at me? Actually, the other day I was
Big
at
Brother
a
is
friend's
watching
house and
you.
had one of those things, and I was like, I was walking and I went,
Okay, you know
I
what?
swear
You're
to
not-
God, I was like,
Now
She's
you-
not
why am I
paranoid,
getting
right?
No,
that
no, wait a
feeling?
sec.
Why am I getting that feeling? Swear to
Wait
God.
a sec. Swear to God, I have to tell you that that's doable.
Yes.
I don't want to burst your bubble. But
Excuse me.
Sorry, there are apps that can get into your computers. So
Yeah,
I've
and
actually
through the camera.
through the camera on your computer.
My
I've
roommate
actually-
has a sticky over it.
Exactly. That's what I advise people to do when you're not using your computer, because someone can remotely turn on that camera and spy on you.
Oh,
Of course, it has to
my
be positioned
God.
really well, right?
Yeah, but I
But-
work a lot in the nude. This should be.
Oh, Amy.
I do. I'm like typing away, babe.
Okay, well, who knows? All those celebs that had their pictures hacked in the cloud, you could be amongst them.
That is so crazy.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
technology,
God.
people are sophisticated, they're advanced, they can do anything. In fact, which out of the 3 of you uses brightest flashlight app on your smartphone?
I
Any
don't
of
even
you?
know about it.
Wow, okay, good for you. Because that app is downloaded millions and millions of times, and everybody thinks that they're secure with that. And they got busted by the FTC because they were gathering all this information without telling the people that had downloaded all the information from their
my
phones.
God.
So my husband downloaded it on his new phone a few days ago, and so he hands me his phone with the privacy policy, and he says, here, tell me if it's safe. And I looked at the privacy policy for just a few seconds, and I said, well, now the difference is they're still getting your information, they're just telling you about it. So now
Oh,
they're not breaking FTC guidelines because they're telling you that they're
Right.
taking it and how they're using it.
Well,
But-
I want to take a break. I want to find out more. And we're going to be
Wow.
right back with Haley Kaplan, and I'm going to call her the cyber detective. Welcome back to Don't Wake Out with Amy and Georgia and our special guest, Haley Kaplan. Do you not love Bang Bang that she came out with? It's like my favorite song, right? Bang, bang.
You know what
bang,
is
bang,
better than
bang.
that song is
What?
seeing a 4-year-old Hispanic girl when that song comes on. My little Itzy goes bang bang every time the fact she's like, bang bang, and she's like, I had no idea what it's about. She's just always like bang bang.
I like how you do that.
Oh, thanks.
So those of you who are maybe just tuning in, we are covering cyber intrusion, cyber invasion on our privacy on the internet. And it's a really volatile subject, especially for women. We thought it was really important to cover this, and Haley is the expert in this area. So we have a bunch of more questions here, so I hope you're enjoying it so far. All right, so Haley, let's get into how to get our information off of there.
Okay, there's different ways to do that.
Okay.
First of all, the stuff you put on yourself, you can take off yourself to a degree. So when you're using social media, there's privacy settings. You
Okay.
can pick and choose who's going to see what. And you just have to be prudent and really think carefully about what you're going to put out there. Second way you can do it,
Okay.
which is not what I do. There's things that come on the internet that we have no control over in your Google search results. For example, let's just say you committed a crime way back when and you were found innocent of it.
Uh-oh, Georgia.
Hey, what are you looking at me? I didn't do nothing. Wasn't me. It was John.
It was John. So John, you were involved in a crime 15 years ago, and now you're reputable. You're working in the studio, and it's not you were actually found innocent, but yet that is showing up in your top 3 results on page 1 of Google. That's not fair. Now, if you live in Europe, you may have heard that in Europe there was a big victory for Google that you can get information taken off the internet, but we're not in Europe. And that doesn't work for us. So there are strategies to do it. And one of those is by hiring a reputation management company that will come and help. They're almost like a PR company.
Wow.
And they will help you create positive stuff to put up higher in the
So
search
then you go
results
down.
Yeah.
I
to
have
push
heard
it
that.
down. But you cannot delete it.
Well, you know, it's
So-
interesting because Yelp, and I actually like Yelp. I really do.
Oh, you're one of the few people.
No, I do because they like me, but and they speak well of my company.
There you go.
But here's what I don't like about it. A girlfriend of mine was approached to do some advertising, on there, and she didn't do it. And the next thing you knew, they had some things that were written really badly about her, and she kept saying, "Well, I think that they did it." Nah, they didn't put it on. It's somebody that you obviously didn't treat well as a client. I mean, it's a kind of a coincidence. I don't think they go and put stuff on. However, it's very expensive on Yelp to have something taken off. It's thousands of dollars to have
It's
something
near impossible
to get
because they
something
don't
off
want
Yelp.
you to take it off.
Yeah, very, very difficult. So some of the other ways. So we
So
can
So
take
you
it
can
off
get a
ourselves.
reputation
So
manager.
reputation management. And then there's what I do. So I work with the information that is public records,
Okay.
but that all these people that are trying to, I found that fly.
I know.
Yeah.
That all these companies that want to make money off of our data are selling our private information, our contact information, our phone numbers. Again, some of it is for marketing, and some of it might be for someone that wants to stalk someone. I really feel bad for celebrities, but now we're all like that because we're all so public. So at any rate, what you can do is you can opt out of these people directories. There are about 300 of them. I take my clients off of about 40, give or take. And what I've found is that gets them a very nice Google result with very little, if anything, on it, because these directories are all different sizes. And some of them plug directly into public records, and then some of the smaller ones plug into the ones that are plugging into public records. So when you get off some of the major ones, you automatically fall off a bunch of the less major ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see that all the time. A lot of my stuff, like whether it's an article, whether it's anything about sort of the work I've done, often can get regenerated. And I just know it's from one thing, but 10 different sites have taken it and used it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this time they're all feeding into much more personal information, because if you think about the kinds of information that are public, if you get any criminal activity, mugshots, if you're incarcerated in any way, anything to do with purchases of property, utility companies, of course, utility companies, if there's
Well, I was surprised that you found every single address I have ever lived at in California and went on. I was just like, I forgot even, I mean, I didn't even know it.
It goes way back to addresses
Way
we don't remember anymore.
Yeah, I mean, 30
And lots of
years
details.
Ago, 30 years ago.
And the time span where that you lived at that
Right.
address. There's just a lot of stuff. And then for women, what I find when I'm removing information, it's much harder than for men, because women, if they've gotten married, have more information in double profiles. So you may appear in your maiden name and your married name.
All right.
And so when you're trying to get information off these directories, you've got to search for every incident in which you appear. You have to search for misspellings of your name, nicknames. Your name is especially difficult with
the
with
two
the, with the two
words,
parts. So you've got to try all these different versions, and then you've got to get them all off. So that's the kind of
And
information
how
that
do
I
you
can
get them off? When you work with them, how do you do that?
How do I do it? Okay, well,
Without
I
giving
teach-
away your
no,
secrets.
No, it's not a secret, actually,
Okay.
because I teach people to do that. I started out blogging for 3 years without it being a business. It was just something I did out of the pure passion because I wanted to educate people. In essence, my blog is problems and solutions. And so I wanted to identify the different problems that are a result of technology, social media, and the internet. But I don't want to just be this person giving bad news. I wanted to tell people what they could do about it.
Okay.
And so I wrote these articles about how to get information off, and very in-depth tutorials that I started several years ago. And people started to contact me and say, yeah, I see you say it's easy, but it's a little bit of a hassle. I don't want to do it. Can I pay you to do it? And at first I said no, because I was concerned that I couldn't get them off everything, especially since a lot of these directories are highly unscrupulous. They are truly dishonest in the way they gather the information, and often they will send you an email saying that you're off the site, and I'll go and I'll check and you're still on.
Interesting.
They also gather the data from you as you're taking it off.
What do you mean?
There's a site, I don't think I'm going to mention names of sites.
Okay, that's
'cause I
okay.
don't want to badmouth
No.
anybody, but
It's not
there's
necessary.
a particular site that has a lot of invasive information. To opt out, you have to do a phone verification. But what happens if they didn't have my cell phone? Now I have to give them my cell phone. So now,
Oh, wow.
now I read their privacy policy, and their privacy policy says very clearly, we will retain the information we get. So now maybe they don't have it on their site, but now they can sell my cell phone
Oh,
to somewhere
my
else and make money on my data.
You know what's really been bothering me? Some of the Republican and Democratic parties, or what, I don't know how the hell they got my stuff, but I keep on getting everything. And I keep on opting out, and they keep on reaching me. And I must get 10 emails a day. It's countdown
It's
time.
so
I
frustrating.
mean, please.
I hate the
can't
phone
get out of
calls.
there.
The
I
phone
can't
calls
get out
drive
of
me
there.
nuts.
So
Well, yeah.
here's a question, because at the moment we're talking about things that are annoying, you know, things that make it frustrating that you get sent stuff. The thing that really brought this home for me, because I'm like, I'm pretty laid back. Things are annoying. I'll just delete it. What brought it home for me was our conversation about the danger of being hacked with that information. So before, when you were mentioning like about all your previous addresses, my natural default is like, how does that matter? But then I think about it and I'm like, what if that's one of my security questions? What if that's...
wow.
So I'd love you to share that, because I think that's
Okay.
going to really bring it home for the viewers, why this is so important. All of that stuff that seems like it wouldn't
It's
matter.
not. And I think that everybody these days, unless you're under a rock, understands that we're seeing hacking all the time. We're seeing hacks
Yeah.
at Target and at Michael's and at Neiman Marcus and
Starbucks last week, I got hacked.
Starbucks.
My credit card got hacked. I had to cancel a card.
PF Chang's. It's indefinite, the amount of hacking that's going on. Well, would you believe me if I told you I could probably hack someone right now from all the information that I've acquired just from what I do? Of course I wouldn't. I don't mean to say it that way. But the fact is that there are experts there that can pull together all the different pieces of information, piece together a puzzle, and have a much higher chance of hacking you. Let me explain it even more specifically. If you're American, so Georgia's in luck that she's
Safe.
not born here. So am I, actually, everybody, so don't try and hack me.
Just
But-
Amy. Just Amy.
Amy, okay, so you're going to have a birth certificate that is public record, that is most likely going to have your mother's maiden name on it.
Right.
How many security questions say, what is your mother's maiden name?
Right.
Right? So people can piece together.
Although the place where I was born, the place had a fire, and so they have no.
Saved by the fire.
I couldn't get my birth certificate.
Wow.
Yeah. So in a way, I'm kind of happy about that. But you're
You've
right.
never been born.
That's right. But you're right. They do ask about that. That's so interesting.
information
That's
is
always
available.
the same security question as your mother's maiden name.
Right. So now let's combine the fact that we can get really legitimate data, such as complete birth dates, names. Now let's put it together with social media, where we can find out pets' names, right? Everybody that has a pet posts a million pictures of their pet and their cat and their dog. And I don't have pets, but I post other people's by name. So now we're starting to form a beautiful, complete picture of a person's life. We can go onto Facebook. We can see where they went to school. We can see. We just get so much information.
But
that
that's
it's-
really terrible because I think Facebook, as much as it bothers me, because there's just too much information on my Facebook from people that is not pertaining really. I mean, some of them are just advertisements that I have to get off there, and
Yeah.
it just take. I have other wig makers who have the balls to put their stuff on my page. I'm
How
like,
could they?
really?
That's so rude.
I'm like, how did they do that? That they actually sponsor or they get on my site? I'm like, really? I actually had to call a wig maker and say, hi, how are you doing? This is Amy Gibson. Have you got any business lately from me? I mean, I was like, how dare you be on my site? How dare you?
But
I
that's
just
probably
thought-
not her, by the way. That's probably Google algorithms that are really smart, because
Totally.
Google is the
AdWords.
one that's figuring out.
No, she did.
Where she
No,
actually
she
did.
She did.
Okay,
She
so-
apologized and took it off.
oh, Okay.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
She didn't think there was anything, but she goes, but we're both in the same business. We're pals. I said, I met you once. You're not my pal.
Pals.
Right.
Yeah.
Pals don't steal business from each other.
Right, but here's the interesting thing that Georgia asked. So, other than the fact that they can get into our information and hack, right? I would think that physically there'd be a way to find out where we live. Maybe, I mean, it goes a little bit further in, yeah. So,
I don't
What
know.
can
I
you do?
personally think having your entire bank accounts taken from
That's
you
pretty
is,
scary.
and your identity
Oh,
is
yeah.
scary than having someone know where you live.
Well, and that's and the people that I know that have had their bank accounts taken from them, that is really hard to recover from. There are no warranties on that. If you've done something that's led to your identity theft, good luck trying to get it back. At least if somebody hacks a credit card, you're covered as
No.
a consumer.
In
It's
fact-
very different.
in fact, I had to get, I had it happen 3 times.
Credit card fraud.
No, identity theft 3 times.
Seriously?
Seriously, the first time is when I woke up and there was some money's being put through the account that had to do with another company that I was putting through to represent a product that had to be done, and then the money would be passed on to the people that got their commission and etc. And I woke up and I was negative. I was negative of all the money that went through the account. They even got my tax ID, and that was with Bank of America. And they were going to make me wait 30 days, and we got it legal in there, and they had to give it back to me in like 48 hours. Okay, I let that go. Let it go. Then 2 years later, I get 10 checks that go through my account for $301.26 made out to different people from Bank of America. And I said, how could this be? They said, well, each person actually has a license. We checked them out. They really are from Walmart Bank, and they all have their own identity. And it's, I'm like, well, but I never wrote these checks, and they actually copied. They did laser checks. And the way I do my checks are a little different than people, because I thought, okay, I learned the first time, now I'm going to do a check differently. And there's something I do under my signature, and another thing that I thought, okay, good, that's good. Wrong.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Right. So they did a laser thing in, it went through. Now, Bank of America had to pay for it again. No problem. 2 years goes by, and I get a check for $85.09 from the IRS. And I said, and it was made out to Angela Gibson. I said, hi. I said, how you doing? This woman that's on the phone. I said, I got this check from you, and everything else about it's correct, my address, everything, but you got the first name wrong, so I just need you to correct that. And I don't even know what this check is for. It's so
Right,
small.
right.
And she was really belligerent on the phone to me. And I suggest you meet us down in our office tomorrow at 8:30. I was like, what? And I called my accountant and my lawyers. I said, well, I don't understand what's going on. Well, we'll stand by if there's any problem. And I walk in, and I was waiting for like 4 or 5 hours to see somebody, and
At the IRS.
the IRS. And so, they want to fingerprint you. They want to bring your stuff. And I said, no. You're going to tell me what's going on and why I'm here, because that one was so rude to me. I don't even know why I'm here. I'm not giving you anything, not my passport, nothing until you explain. She goes, no, you don't understand. You're going to give us everything before we're going to speak to you. We need to know who you are. So I give them my passport, I give them my license, I give them everything I had. And I'm sitting there waiting for like a half hour, and I'm really getting nervous.
Sure.
And so they come back and they said, okay, listen, you are Amy Gibson. I go, well, yeah. And they start explaining that this Angela Gibson has been using and doing my taxes online for several years. I don't even know how I was able to do my taxes when she did hers. She had gone into many things and gotten leases. I said, wait a minute, how was I able to lease 2 cars if this was going on? They said,
Right.
because Lexus did it under A. Gibson. Not Amy, not Angela,
Sure.
did it under A. Gibson. So she was able to get hers because they did it under A. Gibson. I mean, it was crazy. I want you to know, after going through, they give you this treasury slip that you then have to pass out to all the credit companies, and then you, of course, have to pay about $2,500 for someone to follow that up and try to clear up your credit, which, by the way, we're still doing. And what I found most interesting was, what's today? This is November, August 4th. I got a check for $8,509 made out to Angela Gibson.
Well, at least you
They
profited
still-
from that.
No, I mean, I can't do anything. But I mean, I still sent it back, and I said, how could you still be doing this? So it's still going on. So,
It
you
takes
know,
a long time
long
to clean
time.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
My
I
hubby
wanna-
had the same thing happen, by the way.
Really?
Not same way, but somebody filed taxes in his name.
Yeah,
They
it's
tried to
crazy.
get the refund,
Right.
and
It's nuts.
somehow we found out when we were refinancing a piece of property. It
Yeah,
came
and
up
after
in the-
3 years,
yeah.
by the way, you lose your money. We're going to take a break. And so next week again, Haley Kaplan's going to be with us, and we're going to be discussing general social media tips and identity theft and computer viruses and online dating and relationships and predators and things that you need to know for yourself and for your kids. So thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, Advanced BioCell is hair tissue mineral testing, so important. You can go to advancedbiocell.com, created hair, for those of you who are looking to renew yourselves a little bit, or if you're going through some hair loss. And remember, girls, we're more than just hair. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Clap along if you feel like